Hey guys, and welcome to Tokyo. Or wait, no, that's my name. Hi, I'm Tokyo, and welcome to Lil Tokyo. Yes. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I do things here like reading some Reddit stories, talking about pop cultural things happening, and chronically being sick in every single video. Alright? So yes, I am still sick. So if you can bear with the fact that I sound very sexy right now, very much. I'm bundling up, I'm drinking stuff, but at the same time, I know don't talk when your voice, blah, blah, blah. I'm a yapper, what can I say, okay? So I'm gonna yap for you guys a little bit. I have some Reddit stories today that I'm gonna be reading that involve familia, the family, okay? So a lot of family ones that I have collected over time. This is actually one of the posts that I have here is actually a post from a few months ago, and I recently saw one of their other posts from recent, and I was going to read it today, and it ended up getting taken down. So I'm gonna read the older one that I vetted and that is still up on their account. But I have countless other stories that I'm going to be reading as well. If you do like I said, make sure to hit that follow button or that subscribe button. Sorry, I'm used to TikTok. And give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you have any other videos or posts that you would like me to do or read. And let's get this started. Oh my God, guys, I actually already have both stories. I accidentally, my teleprompter glitched from one of the other days when I was supposed to read it, and it's still up. Their post was quite literally deleted as I was copying and pasting it in my little teleprompter reader. So I actually will start off with that one first. Am I the a-hole for wanting to buy my son condoms? To preface, my son is only 13. He turns 14 in April. However, he came to me 2 days ago and said, "Mom, I think I want condoms because I want to be safe if the situation comes up." I asked him if he and his girlfriend were talking about it or had planned something, and he said no, but again, he would rather be safe. Him and his girlfriend have been boyfriend and girlfriend for 2 years and have been inseparable since kindergarten. I know her and her father very well. They do hang out nearly every Friday at either her home or at the school for football games and school dances. They are never alone. His girlfriend's dad has a no bedroom rule and is always present when they are at her house. And when they are at school, they are surrounded by staff and friends. But he stated, "I want to make sure that I am prepared if the situation comes up rather than have it happen and make a dumb choice to be unsafe because of hormones." Smart cookie, honestly. With that said, I do want to get him condoms because he asked me directly, and I am glad that he's thinking ahead and trying to be safe. I was a teen mom, and I don't want that life for my son, and I personally know what lengths I went to sneak around. So I know that if these kids want to, they will likely find a way. We have already had the talk regarding pregnancy, STDs, and being safe. He feels comfortable and safe coming to me with questions, and honestly, I would do anything to keep that trust. However, my husband, his stepfather, has a completely opposite view on the situation. He got angry and said that what I should be doing is going directly to my son's girlfriend's father and letting him know that my son wants to get condoms because it shows respect, and that is what he expects as a parent of a daughter. I feel that this would do nothing but destroy my son's trust in me because my son told me these kids haven't even talked about it. He just wants to be prepared for the if. Anyways, I told my husband my thoughts and told him that I'm happy my son came to me about this. I would rather provide him the resources to be safe rather than destroy the trust he has in me, or, Lord forbid, he get his girlfriend pregnant at 13/14. He says that he will lose respect for me if I get my son condoms because all it does is enable him to be sexually active, and that if he found out that any punk that his daughter dates at 13 buys condoms, he will ban our daughter from seeing them at all because no kid who's thinking about sex at that age needs to be around his daughter. I can't help but feel a bit disgusted by this attitude on this and the amount of control / trust crushing attitude he already has towards our 1-year-old daughter. Am I the a-hole for telling him as much and wanting to buy my son condoms despite him being adamantly against it? ETA, a little thing. A few people keep talking about the age of consent and whatever else, stating the girl probably isn't at the age of consent, so he could get in trouble. So I just want to mention here that my son is also not at the age of consent, and his girlfriend is almost 11 months older than him. She is going to be 15 in June. He is going to be 14 in April. No, my son is not pressuring her. He has made it clear that he has not even spoken about it with her. They have not talked about it. I am choosing to believe him because, as I said, my son trusts me. He isn't afraid to come to me. He isn't scared to ask questions and talk about difficult and embarrassing things. He simply wants to plan ahead and be prepared. That is literally it. Some of you are treating him like a criminal in the comments, and I can assure you that because of that attitude, you guys will likely be the ones who end up being the parents that children do not trust and end up young grandparents. Sorry, I got a little backed up on that for some reason. Edit. Thank you everyone who gave me their opinions. I will be hopping off for now. Have a blessed day. Okay. So I have a very informed opinion about this. I don't have children, okay? I have 11 nieces and nephews. I am, however, the oldest person in my siblings, other than my brother, to not have children so young. I am 26 at this moment. All of my siblings have had kids at, starting at the age of 22, 24. My other sibling, she was 25 and she used to be the oldest. And my mother, unfortunately, was married off at 14 and she had my sisters at 15. So there's a very young age of a lot of pregnancy, a lot of marriage, and a lot of that type of, 18 plus year commitment that was happening in my family that is very much normalized, and a little bit of Catholic fear as well. Wouldn't be a Cuban household if you didn't have some of that Catholic fear. Me too, neighbor, me too. But in general, I don't know what country, I don't know what state, I don't know where this is taking place in, but especially with her being a young mother, it makes sense to me of why she would want to get condoms for her son, and especially the relationship that she has fostered with her son, of him feeling close enough and protected enough that he can come to her with something like this and voice his fears. I know that from a young age, I was told by my mother to not have kids at a young age, and that accidents do happen, especially when you're younger, because you think it won't happen, you're reckless. So the fact that he's already preemptively, preparing for something like that not to happen, especially if it's in the United States, there are a lot of states that do not allow, abortions, or, that type of thing. And especially if you're very, very young, you don't want to accidentally set yourself up in life for a very big commitment like that. So bravo to the mom for teaching her son responsibility and even just preemptively trying to make sure that he can make something like that not happen. Especially they have been together for 2 years. She's going to be 15, he's 14. They're getting to that age. I do not really appreciate or like the husband at all and his response of, well, if it was my daughter, I would want to know. It's giving misogynistic. It's giving controlling bodies. It's giving my little girl will never grow up type of energy. And I don't think that's very fair. I think that's, well, of course it's a baby. They're only 1 year old, but I think that's very infantilizing at this moment because that baby is going to become an adult someday. And yes, a lot of the people that I know that had children at a very young age, whether they were able to do something about it or not, or they regretted their decision, they had it because it was an accident. They had it because they didn't have the talks. They had it because they had very strict parents that they would get in trouble for even asking for assistance, for asking for help. So you're not preventing anything by saying you can't have condoms. Condoms are the preventative measure, not your ego. And I think that he needs to look within himself. And like, the thing is that, oh, if my daughter was around someone who was, even thinking about that, I wouldn't even let my daughter around someone who was thinking about that at that age. Well, they are. You are a boy too. That's why you're acting so crazy. You're acting crazy. And you're setting up your own daughter and you're setting up that little girl as well by, for one thing, they might get shamed and put in trouble, and then their relationship might be forced to be apart because, that. But then also another thing that's very big, depending on the state that they are in, is that that child, unfortunately, in a lot of places, if she were to become pregnant, there is a good likelihood that, she would be in charge of her own body. That is the law, medically speaking. I used to be a nurse, and if I was in the ER and I had a 13-year-old girl come in and she said, in California, and she said, hey, I'm pregnant, I would like to get an abortion, I would give her the resources, because as the person who is the potential mother, it is now her job to take care of her body in that place. And a parental figure, I think, does not actually have the legal right to essentially say what can and cannot be done. Again, that's very much different state to state. I just know that because of the fact that, I used to be a nurse. I used to work in OBGYN, ER, med surg, all of that. So that's kind of how that works. And I think dad is a little delusional in in his thinking. But let me go to the comments just to see. Before I look at the comments, I do want to say, not the a-hole. I do not think that you are the a-hole. But let me look at some of the comments here. So Platform Little says, buy the condoms. I lost my virginity on school campus at barely 14 years old. Between the end of school day and beginning of a pole vaulting practice, kids will find alone time. Buy the condoms. Teach him how to use them safely and how to dispose of them in a sanitary way. You are 100% not the a-hole, and neither is dad for that matter. But you are being realistic. I guess the dad isn't an a-hole. I didn't say that he was an a-hole, but he isn't an a-hole, but I don't think he is realistic at all. Oh my God, that scared me half to death. Hello, darling. A comment under that one says, I had sex in a crowded school bus during a school trip when I was 14. And just essentially more comments alluding and basically saying towards that. More no the a-holes, more no the a-holes. I have to agree that OP, you are not the a-hole. I don't think it's an a-hole thing at all. I think it is very important that, honestly, you should get him the condoms. You never know what's gonna happen. I didn't lose my virginity till I was like 18, and that was just because I didn't really care to. I'm kind of asexual, bisexual, non-binary myself. So I kind of just never really wanted to do it, essentially. But also I grew up with a little bit more of that fear of my mother, married at 14, had her first children, which were twins, at 15, and I never wanted to be involved in any of that. But having little to no sex drive is great. So this one was from 2 months ago, so I'm actually gonna go back. I'm gonna look at their profile to see if they have any updates on this or anything at all. Nope, unfortunately, it looks like this was their only post that they ended up having. I'm not seeing, or I did see a few comments from OP. There's just a bunch of people being bullies in our comment section. OP is standing up for herself. It is a battleground over there. All right, I say not the a-hole, and let me know in the comment section what you guys think. All right, let's move on to the next. So this next one is the one that I said was deleted. For some reason, my link is working, but if I go to OP's profile, it is not working. So we're just gonna take our blessing in disguise. All right, here we go. Am I the a-hole for coming out in a family group chat and pressuring my younger brother to come out after my sister said something awful? I, 20, male, am gay and have known for a while. But until recently, I only came out to friends. My family is a mixed bag. Some are supportive, some are not, and most just try to avoid controversial topics. My younger brother, Jay, 18 male, is quiet and reserved, but we've always been close. By the way, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the brother's name right. It's J-Y-E. But I'm just gonna keep saying Jay because I think that might be exactly how you pronounce it. A few days ago, I decided it was time to come out to my extended family. I figured the family group chat was the easiest way to avoid having a million awkward individual conversations. I sent a simple message, Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know I'm gay. It's not a big deal, but I wanted to be honest with you. Most responses were positive. My cousin, 25 female, sent a heart emoji. My grandma said, "We love you no matter what." And my dad sent this signature. But then things took a turn. My aunt Sue replied, "I just don't get why this needed to be shared. Something should stay private." My uncle said, "As long as you don't push it on us, we're fine with it." And then my sister Ann, 22 female, says, "Who's married to a guy who's homophobic," added, "Just don't be gay around my kids. They're too young to understand all that." Girl, if you don't, I hate that statement so. I gotta take a pause real quick. I hate that whole statement right there of, oh, like my kids don't know gayness. Like they're too young to know what that is. Are you having your child watch a literal? No, it is understanding the different types of relationships that people have, which sometimes will be with a man and a man, man and a woman, woman and a woman. Sometimes a little more than that. You know, you got a group sit in there. But I hate this narrative of, I just hate it so much because it's like you push heteronormality, you push hetero relationships onto children at a young age. Is that not inappropriate as well? Anyway, I digress. We continue. I was taken aback by what I was reading. I replied, "Wow, Anne, do your kids need to understand you being straight, or is that just reserved for me?" She doubled down saying, "It's just confusing for kids. I'm trying to protect them. I would hate for them to turn out like you." My aunt backed her up saying, "She has a point. Kids don't need to be exposed to everything." I replied, "Well, maybe you should have kept your legs closed if you can't support your children." Ooh, that was an escalation, but if they're throwing punches, because they're throwing punches, they are being super duper unreasonable right now. Like seriously, like I'm petty. Petty, yeah, I'm petty. P-E, okay, throw hands, verbal hands. This is where things took a turn. My mom claimed what I said to be out of pocket and shaming my sister, freaked out and said that I was hoe shaming and that I need to go to the psych ward. It sounds like some Midwestern stuff right here. That's when Jay, who had been silent, suddenly sent this message. "I'm gay too, so maybe think about how your words are hurting both of us." Cue absolute chaos. Aunt Sue freaked out saying, "What is happening to this family?" My sister accused me of forcing Jay to come out and said, "You're making everyone uncomfortable. He only said that because you pressured him." I snapped and replied, "Or maybe Jay felt brave enough to be himself after hearing your disgusting comments. God forbid your kids grow up in a world where people are treated equally." My sister went ballistic, saying, "Don't you dare bring my kids into this. You're trying to tear this family apart. You are tearing it apart with your homophobia, okay?" Anyway, Jay left the chat entirely. My mom sent me a text saying this isn't the way to handle this, and my dad tried to check on Jay, but he hasn't replied to anyone since. Meanwhile, my grandma sent me a message about how families should stick together. Now my mom says I should apologize for escalating things, and Anne is accusing me of ruining her life. I feel bad that Jay came out in such a heated moment, but I didn't force him to say anything. Did I go too far? Okay, so for one thing, this is giving very much Midwestern, especially the whole, family group chat, which my husband, he is from the Midwest, he's from Missouri. And, there's of course, a certain amount of closeness, but with that closeness comes dishonest harmony, which is the new thing I kind of was reading into. And essentially it's this dishonesty of essentially for example, there's homophobia. There's homophobia from the sister, there's homophobia from the aunt. Obviously the sister has probably kind of already had a little bit of those feelings, and then especially being with someone, her husband, who might carry even more of those thoughts, have been fostered and taught even more. And especially it's a very Midwestern mindset. Again, the family closeness, but then also that bigotry and essentially the just get along together, family should come first, but also at the same time being okay with, racism, homophobia, sexism, and all that type of stuff. Now, of course, racism wasn't put into this. It was just homophobia. And some slut shaming, but sometimes, look, if you a slut, you a slut. Claim it, baby. I think culturally within that possible Midwestern mindset, which, by the way, I have no other posts from OP at all, but I'm just gonna say that that might be the where they're from. So we're just gonna pretend they're from the Midwest. I think, of course, that is a little escalating for the family group chat. I think it should be perfectly fine for you to be able to send a text message and say like, hey, like, I'm gay. And just honestly, especially the way that you came out, it was pretty like, hey, don't want to make it a big deal or anything, but I'm gay. I hope you guys have a good day. And I think it says more on your family for them being homophobic, and then, or on the members in your family that are being homophobic. And honestly, you taking the leap and coming out and, speaking up for yourself, also probably emboldened your brother to being to the point that he was like, you know what, he's doing it, might as well, there's already damage happening, might as well throw something into the flame. So of course that's hurtful on both of you guys. Both of you guys are hurt, and unfortunately, a certain amount of love and trust for your family has unfortunately died probably in your heart a bit, because it's very hard to unconditionally love family and unconditionally love people that wish you did not exist. And maybe they don't wish that you specifically don't exist, but they do not like the idea of what you are and what you represent existing, and especially, for example, your sister, that existing around her children. Again, Midwestern mindset. So I personally, I would say in the context of how your family and family dynamic is, you could be the a-hole in your family, but I don't think that you are the a-hole personally. I don't think in any way, shape, or form homophobia and bigotry is okay. And I am personally on the grounds of stand up against these people, because if you enable it and you just get along just to get along, you have that dishonest harmony. There's going to be a point where, what if one day you meet the love of your life and you decide to get married? What about your brother? The same thing might happen as well. And what, you're just not allowed to have your partner around your family because your sister and aunt are homophobic? You're not going to be able to interact with your nieces and nephews anymore because they're afraid that their kids are going to catch the gay? No, absolutely not. So definitely, I personally say not the a-hole. But let's look at the comments. Coldstream Capel says, not the a-hole, OP. You didn't pressure your brother to come out. He chose to reveal his own sexuality in solidarity with you. Correct. I'm sorry you have such a terrible family, and you do not need to apologize to any of them. Are you and your brother safe? Because I would strongly recommend you start saving money and getting a plan in place to support each other and move away from these people as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, sometimes in life we find out that the family isn't always blood. It's the one we create with people who support and love us 100%, not conditionally. I agree with this as well. I come from a bit of a broken family in many ways, involving drugs, involving incest, involving a lot of things. And there's, the good part of my family, which is essentially the slightly more mentally stable one, that it's kind of this unanimous kind of ideology within my siblings and family of we must all get together and get along with this person even if they are problematic and even if they cause a problem and don't love you unconditionally. And personally, I am more of the stance of if there are conditions to love, especially when it comes to things that you cannot control, like your gender, like your race, like your age, different things like that, then unfortunately those are just people that don't want to be part of your life, and they've made that decision clear. And that's part of the reason why in the gay community and the LGBTQ community, there's a very big thing of found family, because unfortunately it happens a lot. Blood is thicker than water, but that's also why it hurts even more. Comment from OP. OP says, yes, we are both safe. My parents don't have an issue with us being gay. It's mainly our sister and other family members that have an issue. My sister moved out of home when she was 18, so I don't live with her anymore. Coldstream says, are you sure about that, OP? Rather than calling... Coldstream, under that, says, are you sure about that, OP? Rather than call them out, your mom would rather you apologize to your aunt and sister to keep the peace rather than pull them up from their abhorrent behavior. OP says, my mom is not happy with the things that I said. She's saying that me telling my family that she should have kept her legs closed, her sister, yeah. My sister had kids young, age 16 and 18. Hey, maybe mom should have bought her condoms when she was 14. And she has been insecure about people thinking she's a hoe. I said it in the heat of the moment, and I'm not sure if it went too far. Regardless, her kids are 6 and 4 and are old enough to be around gay people and understand anyways. I don't think there is an age that you start being okay around gay people. I mean, obviously it seems like your sister has a little bit of, for one thing, some internalized kind of messaging. Again, this is why I get the feeling OP is from the Midwest, because especially of having kids at like 16, 18, she ain't Latina, because be real, that's way too common, okay? People are, again, I already told you the age range that my mom had kids at. But especially a feeling like she's, a hoe kind of thing. And I think she has some internalized kind of, stuff going on. Generally, people who tend to be homophobic, yes, they tend to have, a little bit of internalized messaging. Sometimes it can be religious, sometimes it can just be social. Honestly, that's one of those things that she should probably work on that. But her partner, it seems like her partner also upholds a little bit of that ideology as well. So it's kind of hard. It's hard to do anything, especially when, the comments of like, oh, I don't want my kids around gay people. Like, seriously. Generally, everyone is on this, on the bill of not the a-hole. I agree. OP, you are not the a-hole. I don't see any updates or anything from this. I mean, it was deleted for some reason. It's back up again. But OP, hopefully, I would love to come back around to your story and see how things ended up working out. It's kind of funny. I don't read these stories before I read them to you guys. I just read the title and like do a quick skim over, and then I just kind of pick to see what would go together. But I do like the 2 that I ended up picking for this video. I'm only gonna be doing 2 stories today because I am sick. I'm gonna be honest, my kidneys hurt really bad right now. And I don't wanna stress out my voice too much. But I do want to say thank you so much to everyone who decided to watch this video. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow me on other social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Threads, I'm on Blue Shield, Blue something. I'm on TikTok as well. We know how that's going when it comes to the band, but please make sure to follow me. I sometimes am a very funny person, and I would love for you to enjoy more of my content. All right.